Learn to see the truth with your own eyes. Never believe what someone tells you. What's going on, everybody? Devil's Advocate here. Today, I want to talk about conditioning and brainwashing once again. But I think this time I want to talk about it in a manner which I kind of tie in a lot of these current events that we've been seeing recently. And I'm hoping that me revisiting these topics and tying some of this stuff in, maybe giving some more analogies and some more references, maybe, what I'm trying to say and the message that I'm putting out there will click for one more person. Turn that switch on for one more person. If I can accomplish that, then it's all worth it. It's all worth it. So, believing your eyes versus believing what somebody has told you. I think that is a very important quote to adopt into your everyday life. I've adopted it into my everyday life. I've been doing it so long that I can't even recall when I wasn't doing it. And the reason I say it's so important is because we, especially in our technologically advanced society, we are bombarded with information all day long from multiple sources all day long. Some of that information is intentionally meant to deceive. Some of that information is intentionally meant to mislead, to steer you in one direction or the next. And what they use the average person's sense of immediate gratification and path of least resistance mindset to condition you to act a certain way. Because they know, advertisers know, politicians know that the average person, when presented with a type of information, is not very likely to research that information for before just assuming that it is accurate information. And that is just the truth. And there's proof of that. There's absolutely proof of that. If it wasn't so true, then mainstream media would not be as successful as it has been. Only recently has mainstream media taken a hit for spreading false narratives. But historically speaking, they're really good at just giving you the punchline, because all they have to do, more often than not, is just give you a punchline on that header and give a misleading title or leave out critical information in that title. And most people are just going to click in their head that this is what's going on, and that is the end of it. Most people are not going to look any further than that. That's how people still walk around on the narrative that Trump's a racist. Even though there are videos floating around on Facebook where Trump has denounced racism and white supremacy on 21 different occasions. At the least that I can think of. And rappers and movie stars have never painted him as a racist prior to him being a politician. And then once he becomes president, all of a sudden, he's a racist. And there are people out there that are peddling that narrative. Based on what? Where does that come from? Conditioning. Because if you were to sit there and actually think about what it is as far as information is concerned, to go off of that narrative, to support that narrative, to substantiate that narrative, you don't have anything. You don't have anything. And if you do think you have something, please feel free to post that information in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to take a look at it. I don't think you'll find anything. But you may find an article suggesting that he's a racist, but nothing to substantiate it. But on the flip side of the coin, his opponent in this race gets a free pass. Why? Because mainstream media has given and sold their narrative that He's not a racist and he's a good guy. Even though Trump's opponent has more than a substantial amount of proof to prove otherwise. His off comments, the things that he's supported, his mentors. But yet, those things are written off and portrayed in a image and a light to give him a free pass, and that people do change. And people are capable of changing. Why? Because that's the narrative that was sold. So if you listen and live your life based off of what you're told and only what you read, not in depth, without actually believing what you see with your own two eyes, then it is very easy to get misled in this world, in this country. And this is how I got sucked into politics in the first place. And I tried to say for a long time, I absolutely despise politics. I don't like it. But when I started seeing that there was a shift where there was this very strong divide to the point where I'm like, okay, it's getting to the point where it's the people who are willing to see and the people who don't want to see. And it wasn't even like Republican versus Democrat or left versus right. It was those who want to see and those who don't want to see. And unfortunately, most fell on one side or the other. And that's just the way it fell out. And like I said, I'm not saying that anybody has their hands completely clean. But it got to the point where everybody wanted just to completely disregard what was happening on one particular side of the fence. That was scary. Scary. Now let's go back to my very first video. When I was talking about my 2025 timeline. My very first YouTube video that I ever made. And I was telling you that even though it sounded like a conspiracy theory, and it was me going down a rabbit hole, that there were people behind the shadows, people pulling puppet strings to usher in a period of world domination. Now, if you listen to my very first YouTube video and then you go back and then you listen to what I'm saying now and you look at everything that's going on right now, doesn't it start to make sense that our politicians have been leveraged? Our politicians have been blackmailed. And then they are in a position where they are compromised and they will do favors and they will push forward policy that are going to make somebody else more powerful and give somebody else the benefit so that they can push their agenda to put us at a disadvantage, to put America at a disadvantage. All in order to keep their dirty secret hidden behind closed doors. Is this starting to make sense now? And this is why I push all this stuff, because people have to see that this is not just about the lesser of the two evils of which president you like versus which president you don't like. This is the difference between America staying the same and America going in a completely different direction. Because one party is willing to sell this country totally out. And they don't care. Because they have made deals with the devil. Figuratively speaking, because I'm not a religious person. Now let me explain. I don't think Biden running for president had anything with him ever wanting to be president of the United States of America. I think Biden running for president was an effort to try to keep a lid on everything that is dirty about his family coming to surface. To try to put themselves in a position to bury all that stuff and make it disappear. I think that's what that was. He knows he's a bad candidate. He knew he was a bad candidate. He even said it in one of his town halls. Maybe if I don't win it, maybe it means I was a lousy candidate. It's in his head. He knows that there's a high likelihood that he's not strong enough to be running for that position. But he has to give it a shot. And in the event that he does win, I don't believe that there was an intent for him to even remain president. It's been revealed. It's been revealed that if Biden wins the presidency, there are already talks amongst the Democratic Party to take all the information they have against him and impeach him. Pull him out of office and put Kamala Harris in as president of the United States. This is all in the shadows. This is all in the shadows. Think about that. This side of the campaign, this side of the party, the Democratic side of the party, is already putting forth talks about let's just get him elected so we can get power, so we can get back into the White House, and then we'll impeach him immediately after and put Kamala Harris in. Kamala Harris was the one that they had eyed to be president of the United States no matter what. Either he was going to be impeached because they know he's compromised. He's not a good candidate. So they probably had a plan all along. Either he was going to be impeached or he's going to have mental decline. He's going to be incompetent. They're going to be using that freaking, some type of bill to relieve him of his duties and transfer the power to the vice president. I forget what it was called. But they were just, Nancy Pelosi was recently talking about that. They were already exercising their tools and looking at their options on what they were going to do to pull Biden out of the presidency as soon as he got in there. You're not voting for President Biden or Vice President Biden. That's not who you're voting for. If you're voting Democrat, you're voting for Kamala Harris. That's who you're voting for. And that's why I can't support any of this stuff. I know I'm supposed to shut up about a lot of this stuff, but I can't. Because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Biden and his family and Kamala Harris have hands with the CCP, the China's Communist Party, and they are working closely with them. And if they get into office, this is not a threat by President Trump. He's not threatening, trying to scare you. He is telling the truth. They are going to sell this country out to Communist China. This country will never be the same again. And I just can't imagine us making those types of sacrifices as a country simply because we don't like the locker room talk that Donald Trump has been accused of and it was caught on tape for. Simply because we don't like that he's been reluctant in releasing his tax returns that have been stolen and released anyways. Just because he's been labeled a racist and a xenophobe, even though there's been nothing to substantiate any of those claims. All of his actions have been things that have been very beneficial to the American people, but there are a group of people who want to hold on to the most petty shit and are willing to completely sell out this entire fucking country over some bullshit. That is mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing to me. You have to be willing to see with your two eyes what's going on and stop paying attention to what people are saying. Think for yourself. You have to think for yourself. Your life depends on it. Literally. And like I said, and the people, the freaking Hollywood elites and all those dumbass entertainers out there who are still trying to push for Joe Biden to make it into office, who knows? They might be compromised too. I have no way to prove that or substantiate that claim. But one thing I do know is that they're in a position where they're wealthy and rich enough where they would not feel the afterthoughts or the after effects of such a dramatic change because they are rich. They don't have anything to worry about. So them spreading all those dangerous talking points to try to get you to go vote for Joe Biden, all it does is protect themselves and whatever their best interest is and fucks you over in the process. Because if you get dumb enough to listen to them and go vote for Joe Biden because P. Diddy says it's a good idea, or because LeBron James says it's a good idea, or because Cher says it's a good idea, it's ignorant. That is a failure to do your own research. Why do you think that the Democrat Party has utilized all their resources in trying to get all of their entertainers and all of their Hollywood elites out there to pander to the general public? Because so many people listen to them. So many people listen to them. Like I said, I'm not out here trying to tell you to vote Republican or Democrat. That's not what this is about. This is not about whether I care whether you vote Republican or Democrat. I started this because this was all about voting to keep our life the way it is a little while longer. I don't know if it's going to stay like this, but I just know we have an opportunity right now to keep it the same for a little while, maybe even make it a little bit better. So it's a vote for either keeping your life the same, which is some of you say is bad, but it's not. You don't know what bad is yet. You think you know what bad is. You don't know what bad is. If you think you know what bad is, and you think that this is bad, then obviously you haven't done your research to see what happens to other people around the country that live in countries like the ones in China, that live like China. You don't know that life. I don't know that life. But I observe it enough to know that I don't want that shit over here. Gotta start thinking. Start thinking. I know I'm rambling. I might even have to reshoot this video. I don't know. This wasn't scripted. I just want to jump in here and just throw that out there. And hopefully maybe somebody... Man, now I might have to reshoot this video. Anyways, if you like what I'm saying, if it makes sense, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Stay safe out there. Be careful. Think. Use your brain. Peace.